Welcome to Van Tate Sports Office, an in-depth look at the world of sports, featuring exclusive interviews with our KRQE News Sports Director, Van Tate, sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook at Route 66 Casino.
Sports Office talking about some combat sports. Why? Because we're in New Mexico. That's what we do here, combat sports. Danny Romero Jr., world champion, 3 different weight classes.
What's up, baby?
Hey, man, good to see you, man.
Hey,
it's been a minute.
You look good. Yeah, it's been a minute, but you still look good.
You
look
do
at you.
too, man.
Look,
You
for
look-
as long as we've known each other, man, you
like you can
good.
still drop somebody, man.
Hey, man, thank you. Thank you.
And speaking of which, like the last time I saw your kid when he came with
Yes.
you. The last time I saw him, he was a little baby.
Yes.
Man. Have you you have to remind him, hey man,
Hey.
Dad has the skills, man. You better be in line.
I have really took on the persona of what my dad used to tell me. You have to sleep sometime. So that's what I tell him now. He's a big boy. You can,
Yeah.
He said, he may not be able to do this, but you got to go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, that's what Dad takes over. Right? I'll knock you out, wake you up, and knock you back out.
Get ready to hit the big 5-0,
Yes.
man. So do you still have any just like desire? Like, I know you're not trying to fight, but I'm just saying,
yes.
do you ever miss it?
Yes, absolutely. There's, when we hit 50, I remember Roberto Duran telling me, he said, look, long time ago, he said, you're going to be 50 years old, make sure you take care of all. I'm like, 50 already came and went. I'm already going to be 51. But all these guys, when you see these guys on TV, you still feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Until you start getting out there and start training. Like,
man.
nope. I remember what all that was about. Just like what I said when we first came in. I got hit enough for everybody's grandkids in here. That was enough getting hit, so we don't need to do that no more.
Hey, so when you go to work out now, like how you have the rounds are 3 minutes, so
Yes.
so by the time you go maybe 30 seconds, your arms probably
Absolutely.
feel like rubber, huh?
I remember my dad used to tell me, we used to throw that jab 10,000 times to get it done one time. Well, I got to get it done one time because that's it. I can't do that 10,000 no more. And that is, that whole thing when age creeps up, it is a big thing, man. And so you just can't get out there. These kids that are doing all these sports and doing fabulous things, they are remarkable. I know how much it takes to do that. And so
being a world champion, man,
absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. You get 50 and you start trying to act like you could do it. You better think twice again.
Yeah, man. So. Of course, that first world championship was probably the. I don't know if it meant the most to you. I guess I'm asking you that because you did it 3 times, 3 different weight classes. Which one is the one that you just look at?
What you just said, the first. Listen, that whole thing, since a kid, since I had started boxing at 5 years old, the idea was to be an Olympic champion and get into the sports. And of course, my style as it started going on in my career, my style was more suitable for the pros, and I heard all that all my career. But you stick those goals in your head that I'm going to go to the Olympics and be representing our country, and that was a huge thing as an amateur for me. I came close. I mean, I made it all the way to the Olympic trials. But it just didn't work out for me.
Right.
So we turned pro, and everything's history, and it turned out okay. It went pretty well. But when you look back on it now, and talking about my son, when we're talking about that, it's like, man, I see him at 15 years old. At 15 years old, what I was doing, I was knocking out grown men at that time, and it's a different course of life if you have to do that. And so,
it is, man.
So we're in the business life now. So we're parking lot attendants now, baby.
Yeah,
so,
tell me what you're doing, man. Let everybody know what's up right now.
Well, we were blessed to have a second career. We're in the parking lot business. We own commercial properties. So. It has been fun learning what our business is about. Mr. Ricardo Chavez has been a huge inspiration, a mentor, and a great partner. When you have world-class guys on any level, which are in athletics or business, it makes it all that much easier. But it is harder because they know how hard it is to get there. I know how hard it is to make a successful career.
Right, I know what you're saying, yeah.
So to put that back into a second career is for us, it's been a dream, and it's been a, we're so thankful for the opportunity that we're doing that. And we have them. We have come down to our parking lot on 2nd and Gold, and we're always there. You'll see Danny Boy there a lot, and then, we're taking care of our parking lots, man, and that's what we love to do.
Man, that's like lucrative, man, because everybody needs to park.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it especially
you got to come down to Albuquerque High. We got down there. Yeah. We got on Lomas. We got on 4th and Mountain, 2nd and Gold. You got to come on down. We're always down there. And the way, my career, we were all about our community, and that's what we do. Yeah. And that's what we continue to do, is service our communities and just giving back to what the people need. And, we need parking downtown, and we have it, baby. So stop on by. We're always there.
Well, you got parking for people, but you used to park people.
Well, see, that's where the whole thing, that's where the whole thing comes in. A lot of them, and we've gotten a lot of parking because of that. They come in, they're like, oh, you own this thing? Yes. You don't pay your parking, you get knocked out when you get over here. We own this.
The conversation is just getting started. We have more on the other side.
What do you think about today's fighter, man? I mean, and with that said, do you give tips? Are you still, I know you were training some guys for a while. Absolutely.
Angelo Leo, I'm in close contact with him all the time. He's our world champion. Austin Trout is my boy.
Yeah.
He's doing the bare knuckle. He's a crazy dude. I said, hey, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
But absolutely. And what I feel about this, and we were just talking about this, because when I started my career, I had been around boxing, it's been all my life.
Yeah.
And my father trained other world champions,
right,
from the 60s, 70s, and all that whole thing.
For a minute, man.
Absolutely. And so when I started to achieve and they got to see some of my styles, I didn't understand how some of those world champions were always saying, oh, we would have beat you. You guys ain't all that good at this time. And I used to tell you when we do some of these interviews with some of the old school guys that were talking, I'm like, I would have knocked him out, man. You come in, fight him, put your hands down like that. Yeah. You're going to sleep when you fight me, baby.
Yeah.
But I see it now, because I see these athletes now, which, they're tremendous athletes. But there's a lot of extra stuff, a lot of social media talk. There's a lot of promotion, which is great. I mean, I was doing that before all social media was around, and trying to get do something different.
Right.
Do something different for the sport.
But you're saying there's more flash.
Absolutely.
Than crash.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We always say this. Look, when you go to a car race, you don't want to just see them going round and round. You want to see a car wreck and, some of them getting crazy, and boxing the same way. You want to see somebody get crushed. And so some of us that had the power to do that, it was very exciting. And for me in my career, I love that. It helped me in my career. There were some of these guys that I fought that had much more talent than I just scared them. When I hit them, they knew, wow.
What was that like,
real,
man? When you hit somebody, I always hear boxers say, you feel somebody's power.
Absolutely.
Was that? I mean, could you tell, when you hit somebody and they back off, or what?
Absolutely. Majority of the time when I hit them, their eyes were wide open, just like a deer in headlights.
And you were like, I got him.
They didn't understand what happened, how hard that was, and they prepared for it, so they knew it was going to get hit hard, but not the way I got him.
Exceeded expectations.
A majority of you've heard some of these knockouts that I've had from these guys that would say, well, they didn't hit that hard, but I got him out in one round, so I must have hit him so damn hard that it wasn't.
With that said, you had a fight that it was Johnson Gym.
Oh.
I was giving, it was televised, so I was going to let's start to record on this, and then I'm going to go to the fight. And I was doing stuff for my show. It got so late. I was like, oh man, I got to get to the fight. So they're introducing you guys. You're getting ready to come out to the ring. I said, oh, all right, I might as well make sure this thing is recording. I started recording the fight, and I'm like, I got to hurry up and get down there. I'm trying to get to my car, and I hear this, oh, and I turn around. Over.
Over, baby.
Over. Why'd you do that to me, Danny?
Man, I'm telling you, back in the locker room, you remember, I would get so riled
Man, I'm
up.
trying to get you to fight, Danny. I should have called you. Hey, no, we didn't have cell phones like that. Then.
No,
They just said,
we didn't, no.
I had no way to reach you and tell you, hey, man, just let
Slow
it go
down.
for a round.
Yeah.
You know?
I used to,
And that was a title fight.
I the fear of when people say, oh, I'm not scared, everybody is. Customato had it right. My father used to teach it the best way because you had to use that fear for you. Because every time I stepped in the ring, I was scared.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared of the person. I was scared of what
could
I had.
happen.
Yes, and what I had trained all hard for. I'm taking care of my family. There's a lot of responsibility with that. So I used that fear. It worked for me immediately. A lot of fighters used to like letting it, simmer in there and box their way until they felt
man,
that.
I don't have a choice.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm up against it.
Absolutely. The one thing in my head, even with some of these coaches, including my pop, used to tell me I had a lot of skill. The one thing that I knew I could do is take a shot, and I know I could deliver one. I was in I was in tremendous great
I'll
shape.
vouch for you, man.
Thank you, baby. I made sure on every fight that I was 100% in shape, so I know I could throw from the very first round to the end if they can take it.
Yeah.
But the moment I hit you, seeing your face, I could feel your body, everything changes, and so at those points during the fight, that made it easier for me to just continue to do what I was going to do and put pain on you. So if after this, no matter, even if you beat me, you didn't beat me.
Yeah.
You can be hurting for a while.
I think that fight, that guy's last name was Gray.
Great. Harold Gray. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Harold Gray.
Yeah.
No, that was at the pit. That was
at
the
the pit.
Yes,
Okay, I knew it was somewhere. I had to
yes.
hurry up and get there. And it was boom, it was gone.
That's when I won my second world title. I'd moved
Yeah.
up, and Harold Gray was in the top. He was pound for pound at that time.
I know. I remember they were talking. They were like, he may have gotten in too heavy on this one.
And the reason why at that time I was so disgusted with myself, what happened with the fight before, because I had a non-title 10-round fight against a guy that I should have beat.
Yeah.
And it went in there, and things happen in boxing. Willie Salazar hit me with one shot. Crushed
up your eye
crushed this whole side of my face, forehead, eye socket, all that whole thing. And at that moment when they fixed everything up and gave me the opportunity that I could fight again, I remember telling all my team, I said, I want to fight the best one that's out there. And at that time, pound for pound at that weight was Harold Gray. And I said, I want to see how good I really am. And so I got him out, baby, and made me a 2-time world champion. And that really solidified my boxing for me. I felt real comfortable with myself, so I knew I can continue competing with all these world-class guys.
I look at your career, man, and all the great fighters that have come out of the state, the late greats, Johnny Tapia.
Yes.
You guys got together, and
Absolutely.
they said that fight saved boxing.
Yes.
I mean, they got that fight got so much
attention,
response and stuff like that.
Yes.
What was it like being out there with Johnny? Because Johnny's crazy, man.
Absolutely.
He's like, come on, 505.
Yes,
he's fighting
yes,
you. Well,
yes.
what was that? Was that wild, man?
For me, of course, we grew up with each other.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That had to be strange.
My pop trained him.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, I wanted to tear him up, because I'm the other 10, so is he. He wanted to beat me.
Yeah.
And for us, this is the way I look at it. There was 2 great champions that went in and 2 great champions that came out, because we treated each other what it needed to be. Of course, we wanted to beat each other up at that time, but we got to show what New Mexico was about.
Right.
Great athletes, good people. We packed the
Thomas and Mack, right?
Thomas and Mack.
Thomas and Mack, yeah.
And everybody acted right. Everybody did what they were supposed to do.
Did I ever tell you how that fight was for me? Did I ever tell you anything? Okay, so both of you guys are my friends.
Yes. I know.
So I was literally at ringside. I was just trying to hold my food down. I was so it was so upsetting for me because you guys are my friends, and it was hard for me to watch it. And so I was just trying not to throw up. Isn't that crazy?
Cool, man.
It affected me that much, man.
That means the world to me, man.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, oh. man, just be over already,
Right.
you know.
You know, that's what we were trying to do. You know,
You guys were trying to entertain them.
Yes. You know, and again, we wanted to beat each other, but at the same time, we were trying to show our skills. We had all our people there. That means our entire state was there. On the world
a lot
level.
of people were there, man.
Yes,
Yeah.
on the world stage, being on HBO,
Yeah.
you know, all that stuff. So it was wonderful.
1997,
97, baby.
This is crazy, man, that much time has passed.
Long time.
Can you believe that?
It's been a long time.
Hey,
That's
man,
what I told you.
when you get to 50, you start going reverse,
Yes,
man.
everything starts going back.
Yeah, Benjamin Button, you know, like, we're just young, Danny. We're young.
There you go.
Remember that. We're young.
There you go.
We're just getting younger.
I try to take care of myself. So
You look good, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Stay with us. More conversation on the other side.
We'll get back to the episode in a moment. Monica Wicki here, host of New Mexico Living. I wanted to let you know that this episode is sponsored by Route 66 Casino and Caesars Sportsbook. If you love sports and like having a little action on the game, Caesars Sportsbook is your go-to destination. For rewards and more info, go to Route66Casino.com. Now back to the episode.
Hey, so has there been anybody? I'm surprised that they didn't try to call you and like get you on the broadcast and stuff like that. And
Yeah, there was a few. I remember I used to do the stuff for Showtime and HBO.
yeah, you did.
When my pop got sick.
That's
listen,
right. You had to pull out because
I had
got
just
sick.
won the third world title, and I
Yeah.
said, look, I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for my pop anyway.
Yeah, you want to give them your full attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we all as a family just got together and said, look, this is what's important. Family,
Right.
and
Right.
you helped us,
Yeah.
prayers and everything.
Right.
My pop loved
Right.
you, and for that to happen in our sports, you know how the sports is, it's great, rah rah rah.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah, but then
nobody
there's the
really has
seriousness part of life,
So
man,
that's
like-
why what you just said about me and Johnny fighting at the same time, I have heard that from a few key friends.
Yeah.
real friends.
Oh my gosh,
And that
man.
means the world to me, and I know it did to Johnny too.
Yeah.
Because, with everything that we wanted to be the best of New Mexico or
At the end of the
Albuquerque
day,
and
you
world,
guys are still friends,
absolutely,
man. Like, yeah.
absolutely. And then we have became friends. All these years you've been great to us, and without you, we wouldn't be. We'd be fighting out there, on our own. I'm serious. I got to understand what that marketing and all that stuff
Yeah.
was about, and it was very important to have good people in those positions. And there's ain't too many of them anymore, man. So Van, you're one and only, baby.
Listen to you, man. You know what was the funny thing about all of this, man, is that people would see you and Johnny, and I had the comments about both of you guys, like, I could take him. I said, no, you can't, man. No, man. I saw him. He's a little guy, man. And I said, man, he will knock you out. Yeah, I promise he would knock you out. Because you guys are doing this. People don't realize that's your profession. That's your skill. You're on such a high level.
It's a weird thing. We used to say this all the time because you do teach yourself how to take a shot, how to get hit.
Yeah, I would imagine it's like football for us.
Absolutely, you know how it is.
Yeah.
You're getting hit. Well, you learn how to move. You learn all. So when a normal person gets hit, their faculties are not what we know. So when we get hit, we know, hey, we got to calm down. We got to move to the left, right, whatever. On a person, when they get hit, everything shuts down.
Yeah, they're like responding to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing in where people, I could take these guys, and those type of guys that you're trying to mess with have been doing that for a long time.
Yeah.
And no matter what the size is.
I know. That's what I told him. I said, man, he'd knock me out. They were like,
man, yeah, big boy, man, there you go.
But like, I would take it like you were talking about taking the shots. I would think it is like football. Like at football, you kind of get desensitized because you're getting used to get hit all the time. Like I remember me and my wife when we were loading the U-Haul once, we were moving and the kids were little. And there was just blood everywhere. Yeah. And I was like, who's bleeding? Who's bleeding? Yeah. We were looking all around. And then my wife looked at me and she said, you are. Yeah. And I was like, I bumped into that. I remember it. But you just move on because football, like you taking shots every second,
I got a funny story like that about Denzel Washington. So there was a movie, there was stuff with boxing. So he was doing, I believe it was a hurricane movie, and he had Tommy Hearns doing some of the sparring with him. And there was a lot of us there that were...
Oh, wow, you got to work on that.
We were there. And this was the funniest thing because there was other world champions there, and it was like the second day of sparring that he had did. And Denzel came in and was talking to Tommy and said, how do I get rid of these headaches when I spar? And Tommy looked at him just like all of us were going, you just spar the life, baby. You get in there, spar, you got headaches.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But I look at it now going, wow, because he looked right at us like we were crazy. He was looking, give me some Tylenol or something.
Yeah.
Man, this ain't normal life.
Yeah.
But that's how the boxing and
Right,
just
like that. Like you're just used to it. It's just part of the.
Yes.
It comes with the territory.
Yes.
So
So some of these people and they come out like, oh, I could tell. No, don't even think about that, man.
Would you if bare knuckle was around when you were finishing up your career?
I would have loved that, man. The only thing, I tell them all the time, that was mine. Yes, that was my deal because all I needed is one with either hand. I touch you with either one, you're done, baby.
And I think the boxers, I talked to John Dotson about this too, about how I think the boxers have an advantage. He didn't agree with me. I think the boxers do have an advantage in bare knuckle because they could just piece you up.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of stuff that they used to train us back in the days. This is funny because I know there's a lot of stuff that they have now. They put wraps and all. Listen, we didn't used to have no wraps, no nothing. Our coach would go hit the bag just like that. And that was to build you strong head. And yes, and it would help during fights. So, you were rock hard when you get in there. And then you understood when to hit hard, when not to hit hard, like Austin is doing now. Austin, he's the man. He is wonderful at that. And so you can't just unload. You'll shatter your hand. But there's ways of pinpointing where it's pretty easy.
Right when to throw that punch.
What it is. Yeah, I've talked to Austin quite a bit, and he's told me certain things that he does. I'm like, man, that'd have been me on there. It'd have been sleep time to everybody. But that's a whole other different thing,
Do you like the bare knuckle or?
I like all fights, man. Again, I'm in those type of spots, and I still get a little crazy. Like I tell you, with my son, I'm like, man, somebody needs to get knocked out.
And I know just the man for this job.
Baby, yes. I was like, boy, I always tell him, I said, don't you go to sleep because I'll wake you up and knock you back out.
Hey, so if you had to pick the punch that, like, man, I think that's the best punch I've ever thrown. What fight was that in?
When I fought Georgie Sabali, I hit him with one uppercut. About almost tore
is it like basketball? Like, man, was it like boom? Like I'm in the flow, like bam,
yes,
like I got him.
During the fight, he was real hard, real big, strong guy. So said I couldn't knock him out. So it made what our strategy was.
Oh, that's what he said. He said you could.
Yeah, and his record had proven it. He hadn't got knocked out by really world class guys that could punch.
Yeah.
And I was defending my title, and what we had practiced, because he was such a big, strong guy right in front of you, we had to break him down side, and then come up the middle. So if you watch the fight for the first 4 rounds, that's all I did. I was blasting them from the sides, in bodies, side of the head. And round 4, going out to 5, my pop said, start throwing them up the middle. Now it's time. So you can start seeing me. I started launching them straight up. and in the 6th round, I had hit him with a nice left hook. He had moved. I seen his head. I seen his eyes. He moved right here. So I slipped over and
just dropped him.
Yes. And it was just one shot, one uppercut. And I felt in my hand. Didn't go nowhere. And that was one that I felt like, I ain't going to get up for a couple of weeks, baby. And so that whole thing, don't you remember at the press conference? Because I gave him a pillow and I gave him an alarm clock. And everybody was sitting there like, remember that? I gave him, I gave it to him at the press conference. And I told him, look, when I knock you out right there, you're going to use that pillow and set the alarm to wake you back up. And you want to fight again, I'll knock you out again.
Wow.
That's what I said at the press conference.
Man, you did. You delivered at those press conferences.
Yeah, remember at that press conference? That's what I told you. You know, with all this social media and all this stuff now, that's
you were doing that back in the day.
Then. Yeah, man. Yeah. But I definitely wanted to prove to not only my peers, my coach, myself, how good I was. And so I wanted to fight the best. So when I talked all that junk, I was talking against you know, what I felt I could do,
Right.
and against world-class guys. And
you
I
did,
it.
man. And we used up all our time, Danny. It was. I'm so used
See,
to
there we go. We
talking
can
to
knock him out again,
Yeah,
baby.
man. You Mama said knock him out,
There
right?
you
Knock
go.
you out. Danny Romero Jr., 3-time world champion,
Thank
3
you,
different
brother.
weight classes. Back in the day, the man could put the leather on you, and it hurt. I'm Tate, Fernando Perez behind camera, behind the controls. We'll see you next time.